These are the 7 most overpowered players in FIFA history. And we're starting off with Victor Ibabo, FIFA 14 version.
This is complete bull. This may be Ibabo's normal card and what it seems like, but this is what it feels like.
Ibabo was by far one of the fastest players in the game. Combined with the FIFA 14 engine, which heavily favored pace, he could blow past almost any defender with ease. Once it got going, it was basically uncatchable. Despite being lightning quick, he was also tall, 6'2" to be more specific, and strong. This made him almost impossible to muscle off the ball, which was rare for a pacey forward. Most defenders couldn't handle him in a 1v1 physical duel. Not to mention he played in Serie A and for Colombia, and also cost around 850 coins, allowing for perfect chemistry links with other broken players in the meta, like Juan Cuadrado, Luis Muriel, Gervinho, and Guarin. This made it easy to build a full cheap sweaty team, infamous in the FIFA community for being nearly unstoppable. Although his shooting stats looked average, he scored consistently due to what I call broken gameplay mechanics. Low driven shots and finesse shots were particularly effective, as well as heading, and Ibabo seemed to benefit from favorable animations and bounces. Ibabo's one of the cases that you wouldn't really know the player in football terms unless it was from FIFA, specifically 14 and 15. Next, we have arguably the most broken any goalkeeper ever was in any FIFA game. So much so that even in the end of the year, his normal card was still being used commonly for Champs and Weekend League. Of course, I'm talking about the FIFA 17 Jack Butland.
It's incredible how he plays when you play against someone with him. For me, I've always said that. For me, he's been like an 8, 9 out of 10 player. Whenever you come up against him, he plays like he's wanting a new contract the next morning. He is that insane.
If you play FIFA 17 Ultimate Team, you already know the name, Jack Butland. An 82 rated card for Stoke that can play a hybrid of Buffon, Yashin, and a double wrapped condom on steroids, all in one. What actually made Butland so ridiculously overpowered? On paper, Butland looks solid, but in game, he performed way above his rating, consistently outperforming top tier keepers like Neuer, Courtois, and even legends. His reaction time was unreal. He'd stretch across goal in split seconds, save rebounds like a magnet, and always seemed to get a glove to shots he had no business to be saved. FIFA 17's meta was heavily favoring AI control keepers. The less you move with them, the better they performed. Butland was the prime example. His positioning and reactions were almost automated perfection. Players didn't even have to time saves or guess reactions. The game just did the work for them. It felt like you already had a scripted savior in goal every match. Butland also fit perfectly into the Premier League meta. He linked seamlessly with other overpowered players like Smalling, Bailey, and Walker. Basically the entire Weekend League backline. On top of that, it was incredibly affordable. Around 1,000 coins throughout most of the game, making him the go-to keeper for both casual and competitive players. On a combination of gameplay meta, team chemistry, and accessibility made the card a nightmare for everyone playing throughout that edition of the game.
Before continuing, I want to ask you hot babes to subscribe. I am battling fellow human rights violator Osaka to 10,000 subscribers, so it would mean the world. Also follow me on Twitter and join our Discord server in the description.
Last two were already Hall of Famers for sweatiness in Ultimate Team history, but this one was exclusive for a brief period in FIFA history. FIFA 20's Ryan Kent.
Disgustingly overpowered in this game. This is the only card that I actually consider overpowered because, you know, you take a look at the stats, and don't get me wrong, the stats look great, but there's a lot of cards that have been improved in the past, and because of their base characteristics, they didn't feel as good even when they were drastically improved from their Team in the Season version, Summer Heat, whatever it was, right? This card is very different. This card just performs really, really well in game because he has all of the things you need for him to be good.
For the very feeble price of around 30,000 coins via an SBC, you officially get a game-breaking weapon that tore apart defenses and ruined Weekend League runs. But how did a silver turn special card from Rangers become the face of FIFA 20 chaos? In simple terms, before COVID and well into the pandemic, after the SBC's release in December of 2019, a myth was born. Kent's pace was 94, but in game it felt like 2000. He had the explosive first step, and once he accelerated, defenders didn't stand a fucking chance. Even fullbacks like Walker or Mendy that were common on the meta looked like they were running in mud. The FIFA 20 meta heavily favored agility and composure stats, and Kent ticked both boxes to a ridiculous degree. But then you add the 5-star skills and 4-star weak foot, and suddenly he went from just sweaty to unpredictable. You couldn't force him into one foot, you couldn't read his movements, you could do a lack uppercut, a drag back, scoop turn, or just blow by you in a straight line. And the worst part, he was also clinical. For someone with average looking shooting stats, Kent buried chances like a prime Drogba. Most people brought on Kent as well in around the 60th to 70th minute via the bench, mostly because of the Scottish League links. And that's where things get ugly. Opponents would be sometimes tired, defenders would stretch, and then suddenly, boom, the opponent will put Kent. Fresh legs, turbocharged pace, and ice cold finishing. He just didn't stand a chance. He just would just change games. He flipped them upside down. You could be 2-0 up and still feel not safe if your opponent brought Kent on. If you used him, you loved him. If you played against him, you hated him. Ryan Kent was the face of sweaty FIFA. He became a meme, a villain, and a savior all at the same time. He wasn't supposed to be meta. He was supposed to be a fun SBC card from the Scottish League, but EA underestimated how the FIFA community would exploit every inch of his toolkit. Afterwards, the final nail in the coffin for player sanity came in the form of a 93 rated Footies card during the summer of 2020. By then, everyone's brains started to fry and melt into ice cream instantly. Now, this one was a hidden gem for most of you, but it's mostly due to personal bias and experience at the time. FIFA 15's Roman Alessandrini. On paper, nothing special, but in-game, a hidden gem at its finest. And for me, the reason I ever picked him came from one source: Adolf Z's Road to Division 1 series. Adolf Z, or Adolfera, is a Brazilian YouTuber I used to watch back in the day, and his series Road to Division 1 is amazing. Probably worthy of a video itself for the non-Portuguese speakers. He had an attack of front three of Quadrado and Lacazette, two beasts of the game, known for their carnage, but also the 76 rated left winger from Marseille, who cost about 1,000 coins, and personally, worth every penny. FIFA 15 was the era of pace abuse, and Alessandrini had it in spades. With 90 plus pace, explosive acceleration, and quick footwork, he could torch fullbacks all day long. Defenders like Ramos, Koscielny, and even early Team of the Week cards couldn't keep up with him at all. You just hit a fake shot, cut inside, and boom. With 4-star skills as well and quick, responsive dribbling, Alessandrini fit in the gameplay loop of FIFA 15 perfectly. You could beat defenders with step overs, body feints, and fake shots that just worked better in that year's mechanics. And for those who mastered cutting from the wing, he was a cheat code, almost always creating danger, drawing fouls, or scoring screamers. That made Alessandrini special. He wasn't flashy on paper at all. He didn't get the same recognition as Ibabo, Doumbia, or Gervinho. But people in the underground scene, people who really grinded the game down throughout, they knew about Alessandrini. He was in the underground meta. The real ones would know this card. I even tried his FIFA 16 and FIFA 18 card years later for old time's sake. However, he was way past his peak meta as the card faded into obscurity, but still in my memory for all the good times I had with it. Now for more of a defender recognition, and again, personal bias. FIFA 16's Naldo.
And finally, the absolute beast that is Naldo. 73 pace isn't the best, but 88 defending, and he's 6'6". He's taller than the goalkeeper.
In FIFA 16, defending was a delicate art. With the rise of pacey attackers from the past meta, tricky dribblers, and overpowered through balls, you needed centre-backs who could do everything. Naldo stood at a ridiculous 6'6", and FIFA 16's animation system, that meant everything. He intercepted loose passes by just existing, headers dominated, near post corners cleared away like clockwork, and when he challenged attackers, they would just bounce off him. Even considerably tall, strong strikers like Diego Costa and Higuain, and even fast players like Aubameyang or Jamie Vardy couldn't fully shake him off because his reach let him recover from mistakes, like a glitch in a matrix. One of the most underrated parts of Naldo's game, his defensive intelligence. The AI positioning mechanic favored players with high defensive awareness, and Naldo's was elite. He didn't charge out randomly. He cut off lanes, made perfect reads, and would constantly step in before a striker pulled the trigger. A lot of centre-backs FIFA 16 felt clunky or brain dead when not controlled manually, but Naldo, you could let him defend on his own half the time and still trust him to win the ball. With 70 pace in his car, people assumed he would just get cooked by rapid strikers, but in game, he felt way faster than expected. His long strides combined with decent sprint speed and recovery positioning meant he could track back with ease. especially when paired up with a quick partner like another sweaty Bundesliga defender in Socrates, or the Brazilian body Felipe Santana, another sweaty menace from the previous FIFAs. A downside was that in the early game, Naldo was pretty expensive. However, in the end of the calendar year with Footmas and with the Team of the Year market crash, he became much accessible at about 7,000 coins, forming the perfect base for any promising Bundesliga or Brazilian team. A shame that in the following year, his gold card was heavily nerfed and never had the same effect again, akin to Alessandrini, but the FIFA 16 days still maintain in memory. Now, in my experience, most of these cards gave me joy, but no FIFA made me more frustrated with being alive quite like FIFA 18. And one of the reasons was this waste of sperm making me want to commit suicide. FIFA 18's Tiemui Bakayoko.
82 rated Bakayoko card were that he was an absolute machine. The guy never stops running. He is all over the park. He is the new Kante, the affordable Kante. Really good wall in front of your back four and win you the ball back. And
at a glance, solid. A tall French CDM from Chelsea with a balanced stat line. But once you used him, or worse, played against him, you realize this wasn't just a good midfielder. He was a glitch in life. In FIFA 18, interceptions and auto blocks were king. And Bakayoko's massive 6'2" frame, long legs, and elite defensive stats meant he'd intercept passes he had no business of reaching. You didn't even need to control him. He'd just sit in the midfield and hover up attacks like a prime Makalele on cocaine. Bakayoko wasn't just intercepting everything, he was bullying your midfield. Players like Kante were quick and also in the meta, but could get muscled off quite easily depending on the player. Not Bakayoko. His shoulder barged 6-foot attackers off the ball like they were children. His strength rating didn't even tell the whole story. It was the animation advantage he triggered in FIFA 18 that made him unstoppable. Lose the ball with him? No stress, you win it back in 3 seconds. You could also feel your opponent's panic when trying to dribble around him. And also French and Premier League. He was a perfect link machine on those days, sliding to teams with other meta cards like Kante, Pogba, Martial, Varane, and Mbappe. Even hybrids with Ligue 1, La Liga, or Serie A work with him. That flexibility meant every single sweatlord and weekend league had him. And if you didn't, you were kind of playing with a disadvantage. Again, accessibility was an issue, since his price range at the start was around 20,000 coins, largely because of players like Martial and Gabriel Jesus already showcasing sweaty players with good links being in the meta. But again, with Team of the Year market crash, it went down to about 2,000 coins. Perfect for anyone wanting to pick up the game again after a couple weeks of weekend league trauma. Also, compared to the great CDMs in FIFA at the time like Nainggolan and Yaya Toure, his long shots were fucking dreadful. He was more likely to hit a baby in the stands than the goal, but he would do you justice controlling the tempo of the game and intercepting through balls. However, lastly, we'll gloss over what could possibly be the last sweaty card in Ultimate Team history forevermore. FIFA 22's Presnel Kimpembe. Just for scale, when I mention any sweaty overpowered player, I'm mostly talking about cheap, accessible, normal gold cards ready-made in the start of the game that carries towards players using them until the end of the year. Raikkonen aside, that has been the case with all of these players. I'm not saying other players like the one to watch Ibabo from FIFA 17 or the striker Walkoff from FIFA 15 weren't sweaty. Quite the opposite, but I'm mostly including players meant to be just simple gold cards that ended up being regarded as broken and retarded as time went on. With that out of the way, Presnel Kimpembe's gold card in FIFA 22 might just be the last normal card to feature in a list like this, largely because of all the special promotions coming through the latter years of the game and the oversaturated market. So firstly, Kimpembe's AI blocking radius in FIFA 22 was almost mythical. He'd stand in your box, arms behind his back, and still managed to magnetically block everything. His finesse shots blocked, time greens blocked, through balls intercepted mid-animation like easy fucking work. His 6'2" frame, wide body type, and strong tackle animation triggered so often that you barely need to control him. It felt like EA coded him with Prime Varane so accidentally. FIFA 22 rewarded defenders who could read well the game, and Kimpembe's defensive awareness was absurd. He always cut lanes, always recovered, and even when you got past him, he'd recover like a magnet snapping back. Other goal centre backs in the meta like Pau Torres, Akanji, and Laporte felt a bit clunky at times, but Kimpembe moved like a promo card in disguise. Not to mention he fit within every meta squad that you can possibly think of. Hakimi, Marquinhos, Donnarumma, Sotenex, Varane, Theo Hernandez, or Kante in hybrids, and was in literally every weekend league teams for about 5 months. FIFA 22 was the last year before EAFC ramped up the promo inflation to a ridiculous degree. Nowadays, gold cards are obsolete by October, with people dropping around 100k packs just to get promo versions in week 1. But Kimpembe survived all of that for a modern FIFA. For about 5 months, he was the go-to centre-back. No upgrades, no boosts, no traits, just raw code and broken AI animations. In a way, Kipepe was the last of the true sweaty gold cards. The final relic of a time when skill, grind, and a bit of luck could still carry you without spending. Maybe one day we can have that feeling again, playing with a cheap player who could break matches down throughout. But because money talks, that reality will most likely forever be just a dream.